What is up, Nintendo Land? If you've been keeping your ear to the ground like the crew here at the podcast, you know the word on the street is Nindies, Nindies, Nindies. Last week, Nintendo hosted a Nindies showcase, followed by Nindies Night at PAX. So, got plenty of Nindies to talk about. So, what do you guys think from the recent barrage the Nintendo has released?
Sorry, I jumped in too early. Morphe's Law is the one that gives me the biggest something. But I don't know. There were a couple interesting ones.
There's nothing.
I never played No More Heroes, so I don't like that. I have no idea about that, but that seems to be a big deal to people. Yeah. Super Meat Boy, one of those was enough. I don't need another Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, but that'll be the first time on Switch.
Yeah, I know. I there's a draw, the portable and the whole thing, but I don't know. There's anything I already have, and I don't feel like I need more of. Even if it's on another platform, a lot of this indie stuff, right? If you have a PC, you have a lot of this indie stuff on Steam, and you've gotten it for $1 or less, much of it.
One of the interesting controversies with Nindies, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. So apparently a bunch of the Nindies, if you watch the presentation, you heard over and over, coming first on Switch. Somebody had tweeted the Meat Boys about, so it's coming out first on Switch, and they're like, we had no knowledge of this. For our understanding, it's releasing simultaneously on multiple platforms. So,
oh, really?
Too quick to say first on Switch on a few of those games, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I just want to say I first noticed that on Steam World Dig 2, but as far as I know, they were on board with it.
They probably are. I mean, that was a big 3DS thing, and that guy is pretty loyal with Nintendo, I'm pretty sure. But I guess a few of the makers. Meat Boy was one.
World Dig?
Oh, man. You're going to put me on the spot.
I have the page up somewhere.
I'm going to say somebody from one of those Nordic countries.
That's right. Yeah, they're terribly nice. They've actually, if you respond to one of their tweets, they will respond to you and thank you for your interest and so on.
Image and Form.
Image and Form, yep.
Yeah. And I've got SteamWorld Dig on my 3DS. I still would like to see, even though I've already got it, I would still like to see Gunman Clive come. I never get tired of that guy.
You know what? I liked Gunman Clive. Did you buy the second one?
I did.
I have to check on my 3DS to see if I bought the second one. I think I did. But to me, like, the 3D was such a big component of that. That game looks so great in 3D with the style, that minimalist, kind of sketchy art style. But in 3D, to me, I just thought that looked really cool. So on the Switch,
everything looks cool in 3D.
Yeah, sure, but on the Switch somehow that would lose something for me. There was something just in that real basic, minimal kind of style that really fit the 3DS so well. And no, I never bought the second one. I'm gonna have to pick that up when it's cheap.
Or you could buy them both on Switch on Wii U in the combo pack.
Nah, again, dude, it's just it's a perfect handheld game. Most of the side scrollers I think are just somehow better that way, and B, it's just, I don't know, it's simple, it's gritty, it's just perfect for the simplistic 3DS, and the 3D is great.
Pretty sure the game we're all waiting for is Mom Hid My Game. If you remember that one from the presentation. It's your mother hides your video game.
I like the name.
And you have to find it. Yeah.
I mean, it's cute, and it seems like you remember that you guys had the WarioWare game on Wii U, right?
Yeah.
It
immediately made me think of that.
It seems like a Wario game, or a WarioWare game, really.
Yeah, totally. It was so I like the concept's cute and whatever, but I don't think the don't think it really sold me otherwise. It's like, oh, cute idea. Next.
And then, Golf Story, I think people will like. That's like a theme, it seems like, with Nintendo of having these weird like sports RPGs. It's like a whole new genre that's just refuses to die, like that Pocket Jockey or whatever that Jason played.
But that's not really an RPG. It's more of a
But it's a weird crossover mashup kind of game. Yeah, and I totally the Golf Story is cute. We were just talking about Mario Golf last week, I think, or maybe the week before. That was a fun little, that was the same kind of thing. You're upgrading your clubs and getting, you have to play through various courses to unlock stuff and yada yada. Yeah. So I might be down for that. That would be kind of fun.
That was on my list too. I want to see more of it. Might be interested.
Does anyone for some reason think of Murphy's Law as like a Splatoon game, kind of, in some way? Like, to me, something about shooting someone. Yeah, like, I don't know if it's the sponges in Splatoon that expand, like that the whole shooting people to steal their mass.
It's like a shooter, but the object is kind of more innocent in a way.
Yeah, it's like you take their mass, so if you're shooting them in the head, your head gets bigger. If you shoot them in the butt, your butt gets bigger.
And it's also, at least it's presented as kind of noob friendly, right? If you're a noob, you just shrink, and then you can run around and you've got all these little hidey holes, and you're harder.
Is that what they're calling them?
Well, I don't. Did you watch
hidey hole?
Did you? There was the trailer, but then there was an earlier. They had released a previous trailer that was a few minutes long that was kind of explained a lot more of it in detail and showed a lot more of the maps and whatever. And so there's like the smaller characters can go inside these buildings, and there's there's full like stairs and rooms, and you know what I mean. There's this entire building in there, and like a realistic landscape that the larger characters just can't enter. So right, if somebody gets really big, then all the little guys go charge into in the building, and they're all shooting out the windows at him, trying to shrink him. Like it's just a neat, I don't know, it seems like a real neat concept. I was real taken with it. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I think as Splatooners, I think all of us are obligated to at least give it, a good solid try.
It's interesting. I'm still wondering what's happening. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a game that they teased like back in March called Pocket Rumble, which was like an 8-bit Street Fighter type game, like a fighter.
Did that already? Oh no, that hasn't come out yet.
No, it was gonna launch in March, and then it missed its March launch window, and then now it's been TBD ever since. Nintendo's website has the price listed at $10, but there's still a TBD date on it. I think somebody at one point said it was going to come out in the middle of June, and then it never did. So I can't imagine it's that hard to get that together, but who knows where it was in development at the time.
Isn't
there if they're planning for March, you'd think it was pretty much done.
Isn't there another similar title to that that's sort of kind of like a take on Street Fighter?
It might be. You might be thinking the same game.
Yeah, I was thinking I saw it in the recent
beginner-friendly 2D fighting game.
Maybe it is.
Or noob-friendly. But yeah, I mean, the Nindies that they're showing off, like Nindies never really get me super excited. Like I thought Shovel Knight was great. SteamWorld Dig I think is okay. I've still never finished it. I know a lot of people love that game. The Gunman Clives I was okay. We've got Retro City Rampage now, which was okay. We're getting VVVVVVV I think next week or this week.
There was they teased like Nicalis teased digitized out 5 digitized out icons on a Switch screen, and the internets have been able to figure out that 3 of the 5 are icons they could recognize, which were VVVVVVV, Code of Princess, and 1001 Spikes.
Ugh.
Now, are all of these just straight ports, or are these like sequels?
Well, you'd have to see. You'd have to see. They basically tweeted out a screenshot.
Yeah.
And the icons are like, have digital masking on them, like over somebody's face, right? So it's hard to say. And two of them people just couldn't figure out, but the other three look like recognizable icons for those three games. So that sounds to me like they are probably re-releases, or maybe that some sort of definitive edition. Probably, I don't know which of those had DLC or what.
It could be Japanese porn.
It could also be that. Because, they do like to digitize out all the little naughty bits over there, and that just makes their porn that much weirder to get around it. But go ahead, Jason.
Okay. So I was going to ask, isn't Nicalis the company that did the Binding of Isaac?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
So didn't they like re-release that game, but like give it a plus or something? I've never played it.
Yeah, that's on Switch already.
Like, yeah, it seems like every time
that's got a physical.
That's true. And they did a big fancy art book or manual, whatever, in a whole 9 yards for that release. But yeah, it seems like every version of Binding of Isaac is just slightly more complete than the last version that they put out.
Yeah, there's Axiom Verge, I think. Like that's going to be getting, I think, a physical version as well on Switch, which is one that I've kind of been putting off buying, but I want to at some point. But now I figure I should just probably wait till Switch.
That's another one of them retro side scrollers, isn't it?
It's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
But that they also didn't mention. But I think they're doing like I don't know how I feel about Nindies. I don't like the idea of Nindies on a physical cartridge when it's just one game. Like, to me, a Nindie does not get $40. Yeah.
Yeah, Nindies grew up in the age of download games. They didn't really exist prior. Like, you know what I mean? That was the whole point. It's if you have enough money for a physical cartridge release, you're no longer an independent studio. You're a studio. You're like a real studio at that point.
I don't know. Shovel Knight did the 3DS cartridge, which I kind of wanted, that came with a CD soundtrack and stuff. I believe the middle of October is when the Nintendo Switch version of Axiom Verge, by the way. They're saying
when does an indie studio stop becoming an indie studio? Like,
well, when you become Minecraft, when Xbox buys you.
Does Shovel Knight count as an indie studio?
I still think they're indie because I still think their crew is probably less than 20 people. Like, I think they're still a relatively small company.
And they have handled publishing other games, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. Yacht Club
published
other indies. I remember reading about that a year or so back. They were publishing somebody else's. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I think Nintendo chooses who they want to support.
True.
Nintendo wants to support them, and Shovel Knight, I think, came first to 3DS before it was on anything else, maybe.
So here's the thing. Back in the 80s, it was just a software company. It wasn't an indie anything. It wasn't, right? It
was only the big boys.
And even probably getting into the 90s.
Actually, I don't know.
Well, later
there were some computer games. Like, I remember there was a lemonade stand type game, but it was with drugs. Like, I remember playing that where you'd it was one of those buy low, sell high lemonade type games. And I remember there were like some weird indie games that would make the circuit. But yeah, it definitely wasn't anybody saying, "Hey, check out this sweet indie game." It was just once passed from person to person like a mixtape.
Are you talking about on console?
No, that was on PC.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's in the shareware days and stuff, and that probably was the Lemonade game because that Lemonade game was written in BASIC, man. Somebody probably just went in and changed all the names of all the items to drugs. But I just mean, like, how many employees did Konami have back in the day?
I would think I don't know. They seem like such a giant now, but it's hard to say. By the way, Yacht Clubs is putting out Azure Strike or Gunvolt.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
yeah, you're right.
Which is Inti Creates.
Inti Creates, yep.
So it's like
Keiji
it's kind of like in the movie when all the movie studios, there were all these indie movie studios back in like the 90s, right? And it kind of, a lot of them were actually just they were just owned by the larger studios. They were the indie wing of this big studio. I don't know. It's that term indie just doesn't mean much to me anymore, other than if it's like a dude in his basement, like, or five guys working out of their garage or whatever. I understand that, but it's like once you've had a big hit, you're really not an indie studio anymore.
Yeah, well, like Rocket League is one that comes to mind recently that is it's blown up and become bigger than an indie. I mean, it's still an indie, but it's
or Minecraft, as you mentioned,
well
or I would even put Shovel Knight in that category at this point. They're not really what you would call what I think of as an indie studio anymore.
It's a top tier indie title.
Let's see what else looks interesting. I mean, there's that Polybridge is cute, but that better not be more than like $2, or I wouldn't be interested.
Everything on the Switch is more than $2. Come on now.
That Mulaka one looks kind of weird. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to jump on that. The price point. At some point, they stop being sort of downloadable games, and they are getting closer and closer to being full price. Like, $20, $25, and it's getting to a point to where I'm going to skip a lot of them because I don't think they're quite worth that much money.
Yeah. Like, I really liked Shovel Knight, and Shovel Knight was that 10 or 15 when it started, and now it's up to 25. Although I will say they keep adding tons and tons of content too. I mean, they've basically added 3 games.
Yeah.
They've done a lot them for that.
Yeah, they've done a lot to support their fan base.
It just irks me that
they promised it's Kickstarter. Like when Shovel Knight started, they said if we hit this goal, we're going to put out the Plague Knight, and if we hit this goal, we're going to put out, whatever the other guys are.
And they just kept nailing them, yeah.
So yeah, they're still. I'm wondering how much money they could have made off of that game because they're putting a ton of time into development on Shovel Knight, just to do all that stuff, and they keep pushing it out for free.
But at the same time,
I love those guys. I love you, Yacht Club, send me free stuff.
I'm still irked they didn't give me some sort of deal going from Wii U to Switch, but that's probably more Nintendo's fault than theirs. Getting back to indies that look interesting. That Malacca one looked kind of interesting, and that Yono Elephant one, both of which were kind of they were kind of Zelda likes, but different eras of Zelda, sort of. The elephant one, I could see the wife getting all fired up about, but Sausage Sports Club looks cute. I could see wasting an evening with some friends over some drinks on that.
I like the name.
Yeah, and it's just, and the name is, they kind of nail it. But
No More
like
Heroes,
what you were saying,
right?
No More Heroes I'm not excited about just because I never played the first one, but now I got to go check out, see what the deal is because people are excited about it.
Yeah.
Runner, don't care. Runner 3. Endless Runners just don't do it for me. Rhythm games don't do it for me. I'm
very rarely that excited about indie games. Sorry, what was that, Jason?
So Wolverblade, I thought that was interesting because it actually had a history aspect to it.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for history, I guess.
But it's no adorable floppy animals with floppy heads or floppy necks, like Sausage Sports is. I don't know. It seems like there's not a lot to really. They have to, Nintendo's job is promoting these as look at all these awesome titles we've got coming, but there's none of them that have really got me super excited. And it's weird that they didn't even mention like the ones that we already knew about. Like, I would think you might want to throw in like Stardew Valley is still coming. That's a big indie.
Yeah.
You know, like Rocket League's a huge indie.
Yeah, but I think that they were highlighting. I mean, to the best of my
New
knowledge,
stuff,
none of this stuff was. This is all unannounced, so
Yeah,
I get what they were going for.
Well, the day before the Nindies showcase, they released like a, I guess they'd call it a preview trailer, and it basically just covered everything that we've already known about, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that basically the Nindy showcase? I'm thinking of, I don't know, one or the other.
No, I know Nintendo of Europe released something just before, like the day before, or a couple days before the U.S. presentation, that I think was just like, hey, here's all the games that Nintendo of America is going to show. But yeah, I don't know. Indies never really excite me. Like Shovel Knight was the only one I can ever remember being hyped for, because like the more I saw of it, the more I was like, this actually really does look cool. I still haven't played Slime Son yet. That's the other one that was kind of on my radar that looks neat. But
I have an admission to make about Shovel Knight. I don't know. I got kind of bored of that
hated
one.
it. Oh. Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool, and I like the mechanics, and I get what they were going for. But to me, after a couple hours of it, it's like, okay, like that's cool. Like I didn't really feel any need to continue further on it. But then I feel that way about a lot of games, I guess.
Floor Kids.
That looks really. Floor Kids looks kind of cute. I don't know. Somehow I see myself, sitting down with drunk people and having some fun with this.
Yeah, it does like it might be a fun game.
The art style's cool, and it looks really neat.
Yeah, that's the crazy breakdancing game. I've always wanted to break dance with your friends, and now you can.
With your fingers. Yeah, no, it's just, it's very 80s. I have no idea who Kid Koala is, by the way. Does anyone have any idea?
No.
He's only the hottest DJ that you've never heard of.
Of course, because I'm old, and so I don't have hip friends to tell me these things.
Yeah, I would imagine most people that play Nintendo games probably don't. I've never heard of Kid Koala, but he's got to be somebody. These whippersnappers know. Canadian DJs, they're the best.
Okay.
He performs in a furry koala outfit. According to the picture on Wikipedia.
A Canadian DJ performs in a furry koala outfit.
Yeah, I mean he is Kid Koala.
I thought you were making this up. So
no, I mean do a Google image search and enjoy.
Wow.
So this is how he got the attention of people at Nintendo, apparently.
They've been trying to strike into the furry market for a while.
Started to say furries are real on Splatoon.
Yeah. They're all over the place.
I wish squids were real.
I wish multiplayer matchmaking was real.
Yeah. Splatoon is
touche.
Is meme. Splatoon 2 is just meme heaven these days.
Even more so than old Miiverse seemed to be.
Yeah. Well, maybe they were there. They just weren't as cultivated or whatever. Because I mean, at least it seems like with this one, everybody's pretty much seeing the same drawings. So, I guess maybe that happened a little bit in Splatoon 1 as well, but you just didn't notice as much. I don't know.
I have to say I am slightly proud of Nintendo that they haven't completely monopolized who gets in and what's popular in that little arena. I did see some people I recognized from YouTube and such early on, but now it seems like random people. I'm glad it's just not advertising, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and there's I don't know. Who knows how much they're paying attention right now. They got their finger in a lot of pies right now. They're trying to get ready for this big holiday. You got Mario Odyssey to worry about. I will tell you, I am sick of playing Port Mackerel and Moray Towers. Moray Towers, really more than anything. It's time for them to just push out some DLC already. But that'll be it for another time.
I want to see some old maps, but that's just me.
I just want to see more maps. I was thinking tonight, like, you remember when Splatoon first came out, and it was just like, oh, it's the same maps over and over and over. This one's starting to feel like that.
Yeah. There's not quite enough. At least in regular rotation, it's neat that you pointed out. Like for the Splatfest, they have different shifty stations, or at least they have for the first two. That's cool.
Yeah, I do like that changes, especially since the first one, in my opinion, was a nightmare to play on.
We could be segueing into our next topic, though.
We could be talking about Splatoon, right?
Yeah, I mean, it always seems to come up on these things, at least right now. But yeah, it's the shifty station, also known as the Twilight Zone in Japan. I was expecting it to be the same shifty station.
I was too. I totally thought it would, but now we know why the icon was kind of a weird random icon that didn't actually show a picture of the map. And you didn't like the first shifty station, Jason? I mean, as somebody who is notorious for falling off maps, like I love that one.
I wouldn't say that I disliked it. It was just difficult to play sometimes.
You know what I think they should do? They should just make those after, do one for each Splatfest and then put it into regular rotation. Like that could be a way that they could just introduce new stuff. Because didn't they, on the original Splatoon, didn't they always do 2 new stages at a time? When the last couple came out, it seemed like those were 2 that got released at the same time, weren't they?
No, because didn't the arcade get released by itself? Or am I crazy about that?
I thought that came at the same time as the weird water one that rises, where the water levels rise. I can't remember the names of anything.
Oh, you might very well be right. They did seem to stick to coming out in pairs.
Yeah. I mean, we did get the Manta Maria, which is a fun, interesting kind of stage.
Yeah, I have to say, all around, I like it on all modes. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat one.
How was your Splatfest, everyone?
Oh, I was far too busy this weekend.
Yeah. I chose Team Invisible and I lost.
Yeah.
Oh, we all lost.
Me too. Yeah.
So far, we're 0 for 2, guys. We picked the bad team both times.
Wait, no,
well,
no,
except
no,
for
no.
You, except for
That's
you,
right.
the oddball. I should
I'm not afraid to go Mayo.
We know how it goes. Whatever's the most popular is what is going to lose. And just we all have a big enough friends list that I think we should have figured out by this point that if all of our friends are voting for one, that's the one that's going to lose.
Popular one. Although this one, this was one thing I did notice. If you look at the results and popularity for the last 2, I guess, Splatfest, the popularity has been 70-30 pretty much on everything. And this one was almost 50-50. So at least they're doing a better job of getting it split. Because before, popularity was so heavily weighted on. I thought Flight was going to be the more popular one.
Yeah, same here.
That all these kids want to fly. I just want to be invisible. I figure that's where the old people would go.
Since you're talking about the results, I wanted to bring up something I thought was really interesting, and that was there was a delay in getting our results for this Splatfest because they combined the North America Splatfest along with the EU Splatfest.
Yeah.
Even though we did not play together, somehow our results are being mixed together. I don't understand that whatsoever.
No,
Probably because we had the same theme. Because, before they would do, on the original Splatoon one, sometimes Europe and Japan and US would all have completely different, things to choose from. So this time it seems like, because didn't last one, they bundled us in with Australia or something?
I think Australia is just kind of in the North American region. as far as how Nintendo breaks that down, which, yeah, that makes no sense. Why not Europe or Japan?
Well, Mayo probably had a lot more players in Europe than it did in North America.
Right.
But I don't know if they bundled that. They didn't bundle that in that time, did they?
No. I can't help but feel like Nintendo is somehow trying to manipulate the results. And
they've got their choices.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and why would they care?
Yeah.
Give out, a few less snails to the majority of the people or something? I mean,
that's the best part about Splatfest now is because before it really meant something. Like it's like you would either get like 30 snails or 3.
right.
And at least in this one, it's like whatever it is. It's all you're only missing out on like 3 snails or 5 snails, and everybody else still gets a ton.
It wasn't quite that much detail.
No.
Or that big of a gap. It was like you got like half as many or something. It wasn't like 3 and 30.
Yeah. But it was a noticeable difference where you really paid for it if you picked the wrong team. And this one, at least, I think it makes it more fun, and it makes you able to not really. You can kind of pick whatever team you want to pick. At least that's what I've been doing. Instead of trying to guess which team's going to win. I feel like I'm a lot more free to just vote how I want.
The only exception that limits you is if you hope to play Team Splatfest, in which you have to try to organize and plan, and then people still choose the other team. And you can't get 4 people together. But that may be just my personal.
That might be your personal frustration.
Yeah, I don't know that everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much have to say, hey, friends, what team are you picking? Let's all pick the same team and play as a team. I'd be interested to see how many team games they had, like how many people are actually out there playing as a team.
Right.
Would be interesting to see, because for all we know, there was only 100 team games total for the whole thing. But it gets a third of the vote.
I wish we could do the, like you do in Salmon Run, if you have 3 people or 2 people, just press a button and have random people added every time.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, that's one thing that, I would, especially trying to get a 4-player, because how many times can we get 3, but we can't find that 4th?
Yeah, it was the same way with this Splatfest.
So, yeah, it would be nice to be able to just add a random person whenever you wanted. Jason and I did a little bit of league battle tonight.
That's right. We rocked it out.
7-0.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw you guys chatting about it.
Can't remember the last time I won 7 matches in Splatoon in a row.
The last time you played with me, obviously.
Yeah, I guess. I thought that was awesome. I've joined the Bucket Brigade, at least in tower control.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that we would see some updates to the online components by now. Splatoon's been out, a month and a half? A little over a month.
Yeah.
And it's still just kludgy. Like, I was just the other night, it's like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 people on. Where are they? Well, let's go check. No, they're not in Turf War. Okay, well, let's go check Grizzco. No, they don't seem to be over there. Let's go see if anybody's got a room.
Well, you can't join your friends though in Grizzco unless they're in a room that they've created, I don't think. Right? You can't just hop in with your friends. I believe so. I think Turf's the only thing you can just jump in unannounced. Everything else requires you to coordinate.
Because they all have a with friends button, and you would think it would work the same way across the board. I don't know. It just why can't I just hop into your ranked? Provided that you approve it first, right? They can give if
because they want you to do league battle now.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. If you're in the zone and you don't want somebody to join you, that's fine if you want to turn it down. But why is the option not there? Why it's just it's just still lacking so much. Like all the pieces are there, but they're not all together. Like it's, you know what I mean? Over here you can do this, but not that. And then over here you can do that, but not this. Why can't you just do this and that everywhere in the game, period? Like there's no reason that should not be the case. And I know you guys have been playing it a lot and you guys kind of gotten used to it, but it still just it pisses me off because like when I want to go in, I just want to go in and play. And if there's somebody on to play with, great. I want to play with you, but it's hard as hell to figure out how to do that sometimes.
And once you beat the single player, it should just unlock Callie and Marie and have them as an option to be the Squid Sister.
Well, that's if I ran. That's if I produce Splatoon 2, but that's a whole nother story.
Just in time for the Splatfest, we also would be remiss if we did not mention that there is a new weapon out there.
Yes.
Or a new special.
Talking about
awesome bubble blower. Jason's new main. Yeah.
That's sarcasm.
Meh. It's a distraction and not much more. Even if you're it's like playing tug of war with the other team. Your team's shooting the bubble, their team's shooting the bubble. It never seems to go anywhere. So usually I would just see the bubbles and completely ignore them. Act like they're not there. Just go about my objective.
I have to apologize to my Splatfest teammates. They're randoms, I'm sorry. But I did blow a few bubbles and experiment with climbing inside of them and shooting. And you can go into them. And if you go into an enemy bubble, it will splat you. So my apologies.
But you can climb into a bubble from your team?
Yeah, from your team and from the opponent's team. It's
but
does it do anything for you? Does it work as a shield?
No, in fact, when you I don't know if it saved me from getting killed or not.
You said you can climb into either one, but climbing into the opponent's one kills you.
Yeah, slowly, like you're standing in ink. Except
but there could be theoretically some strategy around getting in it for a second, like getting back out, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
But is it worth your time?
Does it make you float? Do you float in the bubble?
No.
Dream on.
That
would be amazing.
Oh, I'm just trying to. I'm
gonna float Could you imagine if you could float your teammates like on the Manta Maria? I'm just gonna float you to the other side. I wish there was an option to blow the bubbles, like instead of just to have them go wherever. I wish I could push them in a direction. I feel like that's what it's missing. I think I should be able to shoot it and it would move in the opposite direction that it's getting shot.
Yeah, you should be able to control it. Yeah, move it around
a little bit.
Shots.
That might make it a little better, but still it would be worthless.
So I don't understand what's the strategic value of being able to climb inside them then? What does that get you?
Nothing.
Jason is an unofficial member of the Squid Research Lab, so he wants to learn all he can.
It can't get you nothing. They wouldn't let you do it. There's got to be a reason to do it if they let you do it.
We need to fire up a private battle and just play with bubbles.
Play with them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Z that the other night. He had some question about the Rainmaker. I was like, let's just fire up a private battle and see what happens.
Yeah, but I was in the middle of doing actual Rainmaker battles, so
yeah. That's working. So anybody, Jason, what's your level?
I'm almost 42.
Almost 42?
Yep. I know you passed me.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I know.
Can I remind everybody that Mo wasn't going to buy it until we all talked him into it?
It's won me over. I mean,
how many hours now? 180?
Oh, many. Check. Probably. I can check. 180 or more.
I think. Let's see. What are you at? But you continue talking because nobody wants to listen.
I am a grinder. Like that's the Nintendo, or that's I guess just a video game. It's not even a Nintendo thing, but the just wanting the collectibles, the things like that. Like I feel like once I've started, I just got to keep grinding until I get there. Now, at this point, I think I've.
Oh wow, you are 180 hours or more. Like I looked the other day, you were at 140.
Yeah. But you got to put in a full work week on it,
You should be a professional streamer, Mo. You just put it out there with some wacky commentary.
I would be so quiet the whole time because I don't think I could talk while I was playing.
The same way.
But I'd be cursing at people. I found that if I'm if one of my friends calls me and I'm playing, for some reason I'm very vocal about the game I'm playing. But if I'm playing by myself, I don't speak.
No. Totally. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and particularly if you're on the phone. Even if somebody else is in the room, you're not necessarily very vocal about it. But if you're on the phone for some reason, your brain thinks you have to talk.
I am verbally abusing my teammates and the opponents the whole time. But yeah, I'm level 46. I've got about 10,000 points to before 47, but that grind is starting to wear. But at this point, I'm pretty soon I'm going to be level 50. I've got S plus 0 in all 3 of the ranked modes. So I'm I don't know. I guess I'll have to start tackling the solo.
You've beaten the game, man.
I know, that's kind of how. Well, I haven't though. I haven't played the solo campaign. I'm that'll always be there. I need 50 now.
I can't. I just can't get excited about the solo. The solo is just what I play when I have it out and decide I want to play some Splatoon and don't have any Wi-Fi. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, yeah, that's what it's good for.
You don't want to replay every level, a dozen times to unlock all the weapons?
That's what Jason's doing.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no. I got to 30 and really feel I got all the weapons. All I do now is log in and check for new clothes every day. I'm kind of over it.
Yeah. It's I do that too. And I haven't found anything new, and I only know that there's more out there because I know Jason has a ton more stuff.
I do have all the clothing.
Yeah.
You haven't surpassed me there yet.
Well, you don't have the amiibo. Well, I guess you'll have the Callie and Marie, which I'll never have. I guess I could have you mail me yours. And then
what did Callie and Marie get you? You have to complete the single player to get anything out of them, right?
That's right.
I think you get the hero gear and you get the Octoling gear.
Okay. Well, I will never.
That nobody ever wore.
I'll never use them.
Yeah. It's a gotta catch them all, man. It doesn't matter if you'll use them or not.
I'll never use I'll never use the amiibo. I'll never complete.
Oh, that's right. You've got them, right?
Yeah.
Have you unboxed them ever?
No, of course.
Oh, well then just use them.
Didn't you see I set up a little display when I got my pink.
Oh, that's right.
Joy-Cons with them.
You got the little. You bought some of those. What do they call them? Things. Dioramas, didn't you?
The stupid dioramas. Yeah. I'm embarrassed to admit I bought several, but they were cheap. Amazon. They were, they're all $10 or less.
I've noticed there's no people standing by the fences in this Splatoon game. They must have not wanted people to try to glitch outside the area.
I haven't seen anyone glitch out, which is something I was wondering about.
They probably tested that a lot.
Well, there's also, I don't see anywhere. Well, I suppose there's a couple of these spots that look like maybe you could.
It's that's one of those things, and then the duplication glitch in Animal Crossing that I can't believe it took so long for them to patch that out. Usually Nintendo jumps on stuff like that so quickly. Somebody must have been working on that duplication thing for almost 2 years because it didn't get patched out to the last thing. They must have just been come on, there's got to be a way to get rid of it. Next Animal Crossing game won't have a duplication because they're looking for it now. Splatfest was fun.
Before we jump off of Splatfest altogether, I do want to mention that Japan it's been announced they'll have their first sponsored Splatfest, which is McDonald's fries versus nuggets.
Yeah.
Such a weird. Not for Japan, though. Chicken nuggets. That makes perfect sense, actually. Here, it would be no contest. McDonald's fries all the way.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Nuggets are pretty cool.
There's
Have you
zero.
had them?
Yeah,
I think zero question.
I feel their French fries have dropped in quality, at least around here. Nuggets may have gone up in quality.
From and fast food from restaurant to restaurant, the quality difference can be enormous. So yeah, I understood.
Yeah.
But anyway,
if they release nuggets in store in the shape of squids,
you're gonna import them?
No.
Like the dinosaur chicken nuggets have the squid chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
If they had squid nuggets, oh man, I would be. And they were maybe they could be actual squid. Why not?
Yeah.
Don't give them that idea, because Nintendo is marketing everything in the world right now. So I could see them teaming up with Tyson to put Splatoon chicken nuggets in your. Although fish sticks would make more sense.
I think
in fish nuggets.
No, that's what I mean. In Japan, I think Nintendo could sell literal, squid nuggets shaped like squids.
Squid nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would work. They have that shrimp fillet. Like it's a patty made of a bunch of shrimp all mashed together. And it's not even like ground up shrimp patty. It's like the whole shrimps just
like a crab cake.
Yeah, but it's the whole shrimp, just like a bunch of whole shrimps
gelatin,
kind of mashed together and then breaded and fried.
Huh.
Oh,
it's actually not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They've done other ones before, and like I don't know, did Japan get the Transformers and the SpongeBob? Like they probably didn't get those.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I know they had them.
Get like,
was it milk tea versus bubble tea or something at one point?
Yeah, the Transformers would have been because that's now an American movie franchise, so that would have been us. I don't think they got that.
Yeah, but they did use the old cartoon logos though.
Ah, true.
So who knows? But they've had. I mean, every region. I don't know if Europe's ever had their own like actual branded one that I can think of. But I know Japan and US have.
They might have a rule against that, right? I remember in Europe, for example, the rabbit, the pink rabbit, can't get disappointed when you don't want to spend money.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
He just says, "Okay, great." And here he actually gets a little sad face and looks all depressed if you say, "No, I'm not going to buy something." In Europe, they have rules against that. They can't do that because that's marketing to children or whatever.
Yeah, which is good. Good for them.
Any predictions for what we would get in North America?
Yes.
I mean, I know we totally all predicted Transformers, right?
I think we're going to get Mario SanDisk versus Zelda memory card.
Okay.
If that was audible.
Yes. And that is a hint at the new.
Was that in any way audible?
Yes, we all heard you.
They broke up a little bit. Is my screen still sharing? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, so let's go back to that. Since Mo just brought it up. Where was that picture? That picture.
Those are the memory cards.
Yeah, the memory cards. And the first article I saw said it's only the box art, whatever, but it's not the box art. If you look at the memory card itself, it's got a Switch logo
something all right.
and Nintendo Switch printed on the memory card itself.
The only benefit, I was just going to say, the only benefit I can see to getting this, other than it's kind of cool, is that if you call Nintendo, will they now support that?
Probably not.
No. It's SanDisk. Just like if you call Nintendo, they won't support a Hori,
right,
charge grip or whatever.
But the way I understood it, I had a problem with one of my memory cards for the 3DS, and I called them, and the first thing they asked me was, "Is it the memory card that came with your 3DS?" So I'm wondering if now they provide technical support.
Because you know why? because these aren't coming with your Switch. I guarantee you they won't. Because I went through that with them with my gray Joy-Cons that I bought, in the box, not with the Switch. They said, okay, so wait, you have the red and blue and you have the gray. Which ones came with your Switch? Oh, it's, the red and blue ones came with the Switch. This is the gray one I bought after. And they're like, oh, that only has a 90-day warranty. Huh. So I have a feeling that, Nintendo's attitude these days with all this stuff, it seems like they have drawn some lines in the sand, and they're making us pay through the nose for accessories and whatever. I don't see them going the extra mile to say, sure, we're going to support your memory card, because what can you do as far as that goes, really? You know what I mean? It's memory. It's either works or it doesn't, and if it doesn't work, what you gonna do?
But this is like when Campbell's Soup did Mario Soup and things like that, where they're just basically sticking a logo on the box. It's I think it's just like, hey, you can use these on Switch, but you could use them on anything else too.
I just threw away an empty box of Mario Kart fruit snacks just the other day. In fact,
were they delicious?
They were tasty, and they were all shaped like Nintendo characters. They were cool. They were little, turtle guys and little, toads. Like they were little like busts of them, like head and shoulder.
Did you actually just call Koopas turtle guys?
Yeah, it's late, man.
All right.
And I'm picturing the gummies in my head, and it's really just a turtle guy when it's a gummy. The red shells, though, those are cool. The Koopas were purple, or the grape ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what else they put their pictures on. As it comes. Well, we did see. We'll tie it in a little bit. We did see there's some cereal coming out that's going to have some Nintendo tie-in where they're giving out some Switches.
If they if there's a cereal that has like Marshmallow Metroids in it, I will.
Oh no, it's not that.
No,
I will have to buy that cereal.
This is just a grape nuts with Mario on the box.
Oh man, I bet you could find a grape nut that looked like Mario.
Probably could and sell it on eBay.
Yep. Right above one that looks like Jesus.
I was having a conversation with one of our mutual friends who went to PAX this week, because My Nintendo is doing a promotion where, once again, if you check in with the barcode from My Nintendo, I think it said if you were one of the first 100 people to do it, they were giving out a little square My Nintendo pin. And I'm like, just like Nintendo, to be like, we're going to go to this huge conference where thousands of people will be, and we're only going to print 100 of these things because they cost us literally nothing to make.
Yeah. But just because then it'll be a rare exclusive. Like everything about them now is like they want every object that they touch to be like gold. Everything that they put out to be a rare commodity that only the precious few can buy.
Let's say you did have a My Nintendo pin and you wore it and somebody did want to talk about it. I mean, is that ever going to work in their favor? Oh, what's My Nintendo? How much time you got?
It just makes it a thing. It just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody did see it, yeah. Someone's talking about
I'm
Nintendo.
much more loyal to Club Nintendo. I'll be Club Nintendo till I die.
My Nintendo.
Now that would be a Splatfest. Club Nintendo versus My Nintendo.
You know what? That would probably be the only Splatfest I would think where the most popular one would also be the one that won.
Yeah.
I know there would be somebody out there. I love My Nintendo. I love JPEGs.
Like Eric.
Look at all this sweet wallpaper I got for my phone. I keep expecting them to do like a holiday thing where they'll like an end. Like I wish they still had some sort of holiday end of the year. We're giving away something big to people who have, who amassed so many points. But those days are gone. I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever see a free game ever again.
I don't know that we'll even see a free JPEG ever again.
Oh, that's guaranteed.
We see
those
those
are pumping out every month.
But they're not free. You have to pay coins for them.
That's true. Well, and that's, like I said, that's another sad thing about my Nintendo going, or the Amiiverse going down is that's an extra, 30 points a week that we're not going to be getting?
I haven't thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah, they're playing with Nintendo's in-game currency. They're they're changing the My Nintendo economy.
Yeah, they're cutting.
Save up your silver points, folks.
But the silver points expire so quickly, right? They're cutting
every
us
6 months,
20 a week to 90 a week, cutting our allowance.
And since they give us 50 points a JPEG, and they do that every month for like the 3 or 4 JPEGs, I think we'll still be all right.
I did find out something talking about expiring coins, and maybe everyone is aware of this, and it's just me. But when you earn coins through an app like Mario Run or Miitomo, you have to spend those coins either on the generic JPEG type stuff or spend them for items for that specific app. Like I can't take Mario Run coins and buy Fire Emblem Heroes items with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
but you can buy Fire Emblem Heroes or Mario Run items with your generic platinum coins that you get from your 120 a week, right?
Right, from checking in. Right. It's just like I had, I don't know, what was it, like 400 or 500 Mario Run coins that I hadn't spent. And I went and bought some, several Fire Emblem Heroes items. And it's like, they're still there, and I've done it again. It's still there, and then finally I see a little disclaimer. You have to use them within the app or for JPEGs.
Did you see the little bit of Mario Run news this week? It mysteriously vanished from the Apple store.
I didn't.
I don't know if it's back yet or not, but without
Nintendo
warning, it just got taken off.
That it exists, right? It was a failure, so they're like, "Man,
can't blame them.
Never happened. Wii U never happened."
Maybe they don't want it to cannibalize sales of Mario Odyssey.
That's Nintendo would think that.
Maybe they just look at it as bad marketing for Mario Odyssey.
It's true. Could be. Though I don't know. I don't know that anyone that hasn't already downloaded it and played it knows about it. Yeah, but I mean, you've had an opportunity to. I mean, it's not like Mario Odyssey rolls out and then boom, oh, look at this game.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this Mario person. This looks interesting.
And it's only $10.
Only.
I mean, if that's not impulse buy, what is? On your iPhone.
I want to jump back to a different topic before we go totally low-key about the memory cards. We do have games coming out now from Nintendo that has a warning across the top, new box art that says a memory card may be required to play this title.
Yeah. I think people have made a bigger deal out of it than it really is, though, because we knew with like a 32 gig hard drive, you would hope that there's going to be games that are going to be bigger than 32 gigs. So I think that's all it's really referring to, isn't it?
From what they've said, it'll be certain games that you download. I guess we'll need to download additional content, and if you do not have a memory card, you cannot download that additional content. You can only play a smaller portion of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do the same thing on Xbox or PlayStation if they didn't already include a terabyte hard drive inside.
And I think this was also something that was on Nintendo 3DS, except they shipped it with a memory card.
Yeah, I don't know what the biggest game is for 3DS. Probably it's got to be probably something like Xenoblade or something like that.
That's right.
I'd imagine. But no, that's a good point. Is suddenly 6 months out of the gate that everyone griped about it not coming with a memory card. Well, it's got its own internal storage at least. You can live on that for a while. Well, for 6 months if you want, say NBA 2K or one of these others. And yeah, I don't like. Is it really just space, or is it because I imagine a portion of that internal memory Nintendo has reserved for game saves and stuff like that, and I imagine only probably less than half of it is actually usable.
Yeah.
Does anybody know for sure?
It's more than half, but there is a small portion that's reserved, and of course, every time that there's going to be a system update, that's probably going to get a little bit more and more eaten up by the internal memory, and the more save data you have, I guess.
Yeah.
They could fix that by just giving us a cloud.
That would be huge. I mean, well, you'd still want local copies of all that stuff, but that being said, cloud storage is yeah. Please, Nintendo, get with the times.
The 32 gigs is a little more forgivable on the Switch than it was on the Wii U to me.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's a portable.
Just because of the size.
What can you do? Yeah. No, it's,
I don't know what the Vita had, though. Probably gigs and gigs.
No. Let's see.
Gigs for days.
Probably a reasonable amount.
20 terabytes. No, I'm just kidding.
1 gig.
1 gig.
Oh, so yeah, I needed a memory card for sure. But that also came out in 1990. No, or whatever. Yeah, I don't mind. I think I've seen a lot of people like flipping out about it. Like, to me, it's like if you want a huge game, it's going to make sense that you're going to have space to put that game on. Would you rather they downsize the game or do what they can and take up some space on your memory card? I mean, if you've got a Switch and you don't have a memory card, what's wrong with you? Because you're going to use that space eventually.
That's right.
This coming from the guy who bought an external hard drive for his Wii U.
So did I. Damn near filled it.
See that? Thanks, Nintendo. Maybe they should do a branded external hard drive for the Wii U.
How much would that cost?
Yeah, exactly.
I do wonder how much these memory cards will be. How much more they will be than a standard SanDisk.
They'll be full
I think they'll
retail.
be the same.
They'll be the same price at Best Buy. They won't be the same price on Amazon. You know what I mean? Like on Amazon, they'll still be Best Buy retail price, but like the generic SanDisk, even SanDisk brand, but just like a plain old SanDisk 64 gigabyte with the same specs, I'm certain will be at least a few bucks cheaper, if not several. You know what I mean? If not a lot cheaper.
Wonderful. I know I usually buy cards from Best Buy when they're on sale. I just have a feeling these will be excluded because they're video game merchandise. Possibly.
I think these are just going to be regular old cards that they're going to have in the card section.
The fact that they actually
to me,
have...
it's the same.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
To me, it's the same thing as putting, like we said, Mario on a soup can or Mario on whatever. I don't think there's any, I think it's just them advertising on that package.
No, but it's not on the package, though. Like, again, it's actually on the card. Having that printed on the actual card implies a deeper relationship with SanDisk than just packaging. So, I don't know. To me, I still think that eventually you'll see them on the shelf for cheap at Best Buy or whatever, or on clearance. I don't think there's going to be any sort of shortage of them, but I still think they'll be like, if you're shopping around on Amazon for memory cards, those Nintendo branded ones will probably command a higher price than just a default one with the same specs. But we'll see. I mean, I'm in the market to upgrade mine because I got a small one just to start off. And then I I bought another one and then it was busted and I couldn't, I was past the return window and just gave up on it. But yeah, I'm in the market to buy a bigger memory card, so I would consider this 128 with an actual Switch logo on it, just because I'm a Tool fanboy and would do it anyway. Even if it were $1 or $2 more, certainly. If it's,
I think I've only got a 64 in mine.
Not. Yeah, I got a 64 in mine, and it'll do the job for now. But damn, I'm downloading a lot of stuff on this thing, man.
Yeah, what was that one that the SanDisk posted? Was it 400 gigs? Is a new one that they're making that's not Nintendo branded, but
yeah, that's their new. They just broke the new limit or whatever. That's like the new biggest one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, this thing could have. We don't need a terabyte in this thing. I don't think. But I literally put over 200 gigs. I put a 250 gig hard drive on my Wii U, and I was over 200 on it. Yeah. A lot of demos and random junk like that, but and also the fact that we had the digital download blah 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 deal, right? So I downloaded everything: Mario Kart, Smash, Wind Waker. Plus we got freebie downloads, right, from good old Club Nintendo. So yeah. I just downloaded a ton of stuff on that Wii U. Whereas my 3DS, well, I downloaded a fair amount of crap on my 3DS too, because again, free Club Nintendo stuff.
Not to reopen that wound, but I remember being upset when they went digital only for the Club Nintendo rewards. And now I long for those days.
Yeah, that was mild. Yeah, that was mild disappointment compared to what we got now.
It's like, would you rather have Game & Wario or a deck of cards? Deck of cards.
Or a JPEG. Those are between those three choices.
Yeah. Well, I'd take anything now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm glad that I got the 2 games that they ever gave away for free with those points.
Yeah, same here.
As always, it's a horrible reward system, folks. But it's something to complain about.
Which is what this show is about.
A lot. Yep.
Yeah.
So, talking about complaints, maybe we should bring up the recent lawsuit that Nintendo has lost, which is the Wii lawsuit from 11 years ago.
Well, these things take time.
Yeah, it's such an obvious troll suit, and they hit up a bunch of other tech companies with other weird little patent things like this, and most of the other companies just settled, paid them some small amount, and go away. And Nintendo, of course, never settles. So Nintendo will appeal it, and Nintendo's going to have to win because it's just bogus. I mean, seriously,
it's bizarre.
Wii came out in 2006. Like it's so far past the point of a cease and desist order. Even it's like you can't sell the Wii anymore. All right.
From what I understand, the nature of the suit has to do with using motion sensing to detect whether somebody has fallen down or not. I think it said was the wording, or whether somebody was no longer standing upright, which it's like a real weird thing. I'm guessing it must have been like a medical company or something.
I think it was it's a medical patent, right? I think it's a troll company that what they do is they just buy up companies' patents, like companies that are going out of business or whatever, and then they just try to make money off of lawsuits from those patents. So I think that's what's going on. And so they just picked up some patent. They're like, hey, this sort of sounds like a Wii remote. I bet we could, gin up a lawsuit on this one, make some money out of Nintendo. Because it's like, right, so many of these, the patents are so vague. It's like we patented any method of, computer speech, or we patented any, or when like movies patent or try to copyright a word. Or who owns the rights to the Happy Birthday song, right? It's just like there's certain things that it's just like you you can't do that. That's
Happy
not
Birthday
something you
may
can
have
claim
fallen back
ownership
into
of.
public domain.
It
I think I
did.
heard a few years
It
ago.
did very
But yeah.
recently. Yeah.
But
like,
yeah,
within
people
the
do
last
that. Like I
few
said,
years.
Nintendo actually owns the patent on the D-pad, but it's about the actual physical mechanism of the D-pad. So you can still have a D-pad and just have a different internal mechanism for how it
Yeah.
achieves the same thing.
Yeah,
and have a D-pad.
because Sony and Microsoft both have their own, not quite a D-pad, right? Sony has the buttons that are split, and Microsoft has it on a big round kind of rocker thing. But they still perform the exact same function.
And yet on the Switch, it's abandoned. Do you think we'll get a Joy-Con with a D-pad ever?
I think so. I think it'll happen.
I think they'll sell just a left Joy-Con available in either blue or gray. It's like
I have a feeling they'll make you
lonely person Switch version.
Buy a set. I have a feeling they'll make you buy. It'll be like an NES branded, and the buttons will be like the old style little concave red, red buttons like the A and B on the old controller. Yeah.
No, I probably wouldn't buy it. Pro controller all the way. Pro controller Master Race.
It is quite a piece of machinery. I mean, it's, so are the proper controllers from the other consoles, the other big consoles.
Yeah.
But, Nintendo always, that's one, they've lagged in all sorts of other categories. One thing they've never really lagged in is controller design.
I feel that way, although I had a friend who really hates on the GameCube controller. He's like, that's the worst controller that's ever been made for any system. I always kind of liked it.
Certain people have people who tend to like bro shooters look at that and think it looks childish, or think, it somehow insults their manhood. But people who don't have that issue, that controller's genius. The different size buttons, the different shape buttons, the fact that, just the logic of that every button has its own shape, placement, size. Like, there's simply no way you can mistake one button for another, except for the two little kidney bean ones sometimes.
Yeah, Hori's got that new one out, that new wired one for Switch too, that has the removable D-pad, which is kind of interesting, but not. If you've seen that one, you can take off the D-pad and it's just got the 4 buttons underneath it.
I don't know. Historically, third-party accessories have just never been as good.
It's had okay reviews. I don't know. We got anything else tonight, fellas and lady?
Yep, glad to have you back with us,
lady.
Max.
Yeah, we've missed. It's been a real sausage fest around here.
Yeah, our conversation delved into darker territory last week.
That's true.
I heard.
Without you here to keep us honest.
That's true. I try to keep you honest, but nobody cares. So
we're still trying to get you to get that Switch, which I believe Walmart. Did we talk about that at all? The Walmart exclusive Switch with the green and pink Joy-Con? I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
We had to have, but yeah, I know that's out now. So
that comes out this Friday, actually.
Is it this Friday?
Yeah.
My mom mentioned, like, hey, did you know Nintendo's got a game called Splatoon 2 that's coming out? I'm like, yeah, it's already out. I've got it. Thanks, though. Like she's gonna break Nintendo news to me.
But she tries. That's nice.
Yeah, she does.
It's nice that she told you.
Yeah, it is. I know. And she couldn't find Mario for Xbox One, and needed my help with that. And I told her. It's
We'll have to discuss sometime how you let an Xbox One come into your family.
Well, that's how the nephews, they're of that new generation that knows that anything is superior to Nintendo hardware. Like you said, it's the nostalgia kind of keeps us going. Like you said, I don't know if Nintendo can ever be anything other than a secondary console to the newer generations, but they've been having some pretty good success with the Switch so far. I don't know. I'm
a
still not
secondary
a super
console
big
in a
fan.
lot of cases,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, well, that's true, and it hits that niche really well, in that it's portable, that you can say like, this is my handheld console, and a lot of people are playing in handheld still. I just am not one of those. I tried playing Splatoon 2 the other day in handheld, and I don't know how Jason does it.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's
Got those
I
skills,
can't.
yo.
I know. I guess you get used to it, but I've turned the sensitivity up to like 5 or whatever on both meters, and to me it still doesn't seem like it's as quick as it is on the TV. But it could just be my playing. I did play it in tabletop mode a few weeks ago, and I actually thought it was better somehow. Which, with the Joy-Con in each hand and tabletop, and just you move your right hand to do the motion control, and it was manageable. I thought it was okay. I'll have to try it sometime with a puppy dog.
Were you reclined on the couch with your arms hanging to each side?
You know it. No, because I had a table next to me.
Oh.
Yeah, I just did it at a kitchen table, but it wasn't too bad. I forget about tabletop mode. I did see they were FIFA, which comes up a lot for one that I'm never buying, but I seem to always talk about. They had mentioned how difficult it was to design the game because of the split Joy-Con mode to do multiplayer. Which I never thought about that, but I'm wondering if that's a requirement of Nintendo, that 2-player games have to be playable. Because, you remember when that other company, like a few weeks or months ago, was saying how the Switch didn't have the same number of buttons?
Yeah.
Well, EA had the same quote this week, where they said it was difficult to do FIFA because it didn't have as many buttons as the other controllers. But what they were talking about is, to do multiplayer, they lose one of those left and right buttons up top, because when you're holding it sideways, it's only got one trigger, and that they had to design it to do it. So they said it's not an ideal way to do it. So I wonder if Nintendo's forcing some people, or just strongly suggesting to people, if they have a multiplayer game, that they make it sideways Joy-Con. But they did mention that, which I would say, hey, you want to play it the right way, you get 2 controllers like everybody else. I don't really consider the Switch being 2 controllers. I mean, it isn't a pinch, but I don't think most people are going to play it that way.
Well, it depends on the game. Like a lot, I played Overcooked and Death Squared over the weekend, and both of those are simplistic controls and are perfectly suited for the little Joy-Con.
I mean, it's a neat trick and everything, but I'm not sharing the joy. Although I did with Snipper Clips the other day, or the last week. But for the most part, I think you'd want to have just 2 controllers.
Anything outside of a major AAA title, well, not anything, but a lot of things outside of a 3D title just don't need the extra stick.
Yeah, I think it's adequate for the most part, for most of their stuff. But yeah, like, I don't know. Can you play Splatoon that way, I wonder?
No.
You wouldn't be able to, right? Or would you be? No, I guess.
Well, you would be lacking the second trigger, is really the one thing you'd be lacking.
That's true.
I mean, it really seems like those are designed around the Virtual Console, right? It's effectively a Super Nintendo controller when it's turned on its side.
Yeah, which it's good enough for most stuff. But I just thought that was interesting. I was like, is EA actually saying the same thing that somebody else got mocked for just months back? And then when I realized they were talking about the sideways Joy-Con, I was like, oh, okay, I can forgive that. Anyway, sorry to drag it out, everybody. I think we were wrapping up.
That's right. So I guess we'll call it a night tonight.
Do it.
Thanks for coming out of your hidey hole and joining us this week.
Yeah.
And as always, be sure and check us out on Twitter at NOA_podcast. Of course, on Stitcher and iTunes. And of course, you can always subscribe and leave your comments right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Nice.
Deuces.